The old upright piano had been sitting in the corner of the living room for years, mostly gathering dust. Malin's grandmother had given it to the family when they bought their small apartment, insisting that every home needs music. Neither Maylene nor her husband Chen played much beyond simple tunes they remembered from childhood lessons, but they kept it tuned out of respect for grandmother. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon when they first noticed something unusual. Their daughter Lily, just 3 years old at the time, had wandered over to the piano while Chen was preparing dinner. Instead of the random banging they expected from a toddler, gentle, deliberate notes floated through the apartment. Chen peeked around the corner, careful not to interrupt whatever was happening. Lily stood on her tiptoes, her tiny fingers pressing one key at a time, her head tilted as she listened intently to each sound. She seemed to be searching for something specific, playing a note, pausing, then trying another. "Maylin," Chen whispered, motioning for his wife to come quietly. "Look at what she's doing." They watched in amazement as Lily played a simple sequence of notes, frowned slightly, then played it again with a small change. After the third try, her face lit up with a smile. The melody was unmistakable, the opening phrase of "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" that they often sang to her at bedtime. "Did you teach her that?" Maylin whispered. Chen shook his head. "I've never shown her anything on the piano." That night, after tucking Lily into bed, they talked about what they had seen. "My mother always said musical talent runs in our family," Maylene said. "My great-uncle could play any song after hearing it just once, but I thought those were just family stories." Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Remember how she always moves her hands when we play music during dinner? I thought she was just dancing, but maybe she was conducting." Over the next few weeks, they paid closer attention. They noticed how Lily would hum perfectly in tune with songs on the radio, how she could repeat complex melodies after hearing them only once, how she seemed drawn to the piano like a magnet whenever they passed music stores. One evening, while playing Beethoven's Fur Elise on their old CD player during dinner, they noticed Lily had stopped eating. She sat perfectly still, eyes closed, absorbing every note. When the piece ended, she hopped down from her chair and went straight to the piano. With her small fingers, she began picking out the distinctive opening notes of the piece. A, E, A, E, A, E, A, C, B, A. The notes weren't perfect, but the rhythm and general melody were unmistakable. Chen and Maylin exchanged glances of astonishment. Their daughter was reproducing a complex classical piece she had just heard, without any formal training. "I think we need to get her lessons," Maylin said that night, after Lily had gone to bed. "Real lessons from someone who knows how to work with children." Chen agreed, but added, "She's so young, though. Most teachers won't take students until they're at least 5 or 6. Finding a suitable teacher proved challenging. The first 3 piano instructors they contacted politely declined when they heard Lily's age. 3 is simply too young to start formal training," one explained. "Her hands aren't developed enough and she won't have the attention span." But Maylin and Chen knew what they had witnessed wasn't ordinary. Finally, through a colleague at the hospital where Maylin worked as a nurse, they heard about Dr. Hiromi Tanaka, a specialist in teaching musically gifted children. "She's expensive," Maylin's colleague warned, "and there's a waiting list. But if your daughter truly has unusual talent, Dr. Tanaka will recognize it." They scheduled an assessment, expecting to wait months, but a cancellation opened a slot just 2 weeks later. They prepared Lily as best they could, explaining that a nice teacher wanted to play piano games with her. Dr. Tanaka's studio was nothing like they expected. Instead of the formal, intimidating space they had imagined, it was warm and inviting, with colorful artwork on the walls and not one but 3 pianos of different sizes, including a small one clearly built for very young children. Lily immediately ran to the child-sized piano, her eyes wide with wonder. Dr. Tanaka, a petite woman with kind eyes and silver-streaked hair, greeted them warmly. "I usually observe first," she explained to the parents. "Please sit over there and try to be invisible. Lily and I are going to play some music games." For the next 45 minutes, Chen and Maylin watched as Dr. Tanaka led Lily through various activities, clapping rhythm patterns, singing back melodies, finding specific notes on the piano. The teacher never talked down to Lily, instead speaking to her as if she were much older. About halfway through the session, Dr. Tanaka sat at the full-sized grand piano and played a simple melody. "Can you find these notes on your piano?" she asked Lily. Without hesitation, Lily reproduced the melody perfectly. Dr. Tanaka raised an eyebrow but showed no other reaction. She played a more complex phrase. Again, Lily repeated it accurately. After several more examples, each more difficult than the last, Dr. Tanaka played the opening measures of Fur Elise. Lily's face lit up with recognition, and she immediately began playing along on her small piano. When the session ended, Dr. Tanaka invited Chen and Mei-lin to join them. "Lily," she said gently, "would you like to draw a picture on that table while I talk to your parents?" Once Lily was happily occupied with paper and crayons, Dr. Tanaka turned to Chen and Mei-lin. "In 30 years of teaching gifted children," she said quietly, "I have encountered perhaps 3 students with Lily's level of natural musicality. What we call perfect pitch, the ability to identify or reproduce any note without a reference point, is rare enough. But she also has remarkable memory, exceptional rhythm, and most importantly, she connects emotionally with the music. That cannot be taught." Mei-lin felt tears welling in her eyes. "So you'll teach her?" "I would like to start immediately," Dr. Tanaka replied. "Children like Lily learn differently. They absorb music like a language, and these early years are precious for development. But," she added with sudden seriousness, "we must be very careful." "Careful?" Chen asked. Dr. Tanaka nodded. "The world is full of stories of musical prodigies who burned out young, who grew to hate music because it was forced upon them too intensely. My approach is different. Lily must always find joy in music. It must remain play, not work, especially at this age." On the drive home, Lily chattered excitedly about the piano games and asked when she could go back. Chen and Mei-lin exchanged relieved smiles. This felt right. The lessons began twice weekly. Dr. Tanaka used methods unlike traditional piano instruction, combining elements of the Suzuki approach, which teaches music like a native language, with techniques she had developed over decades of working with exceptionally gifted children. At home, they noticed changes in Lily almost immediately. She became more focused in everything she did. She would spend long periods at the piano, experimenting with sounds and patterns. They never had to remind her to practice. In fact, sometimes they had to gently coax her away from the piano for meals or bedtime. One evening, about 3 months after the lessons began, Dr. Tanaka asked to speak with them after Lily's session. "She's been asking to learn Fur Elise properly," she told them. "Normally, I wouldn't teach a piece this complex to a student so young. It requires technical skills most children don't develop until they're 8 or 9 at least." "Is it too difficult for her?" Mei-lin asked, concerned. Dr. Tanaka smiled. "That's just it, I don't think it is. Her hands are small, yes, but her coordination is exceptional. And her determination." The teacher shook her head in wonder. "When Lily decides she wants to learn something, she has a focus I rarely see even in much older students." "So you'll teach her the piece?" Chen asked. "Yes, but in small sections, adapted slightly for her hand size. It will take time, but I believe she can master it." "The question is," Dr. Tanaka looked at them intently, "are you prepared for what might come next?" Mei-lin and Chen exchanged confused glances. "What do you mean?" Mei-lin asked. "A child with Lily's rare gifts. Word will spread. There will be opportunities, performances, competitions. Some parents push their children toward these things too quickly. I want to be sure we're all focused on the same priority. Lily's joy in music and her healthy development as a whole child, not just as a pianist." On the way home, Lily fell asleep in her car seat, clutching the special notebook Dr. Tanaka had given her to mark her progress with colorful stickers. Shen glanced at his daughter in the rearview mirror, then at his wife. "Are we doing the right thing?" he asked softly. "What if we're pushing her into something too soon?" Mei-lin turned to look at their sleeping daughter. "Have you seen her face when she plays? That pure happiness. I think we'd be wrong to hold her back from something she loves so naturally." Chen nodded slowly. Dr. Tanaka seems to understand the balance. As long as Lily keeps smiling when she sits at the piano, we know we're on the right path. Neither of them could have imagined then just how remarkable that path would become, or how soon their little girl would astonish not just them, but the entire world of classical music. The seasons changed outside the window of Dr. Tanaka's studio, but inside, something even more remarkable was transforming. Lily, now 3.5, sat at the piano with her feet dangling well above the floor, her small fingers dancing across the keys with growing confidence. The opening notes of Fur Elise filled the room, not as simple plunking, but with the emotional depth that made Beethoven's composition so beloved. Dr. Tanaka stood nearby, not hovering but present, occasionally nodding with approval. She had broken down the piece into manageable sections, teaching Lily through a combination of demonstration, ear training, and specially designed exercises to help her small hands stretch safely. "Very nice," she said when Lily finished the passage. "You've mastered the first section beautifully. Shall we try the middle part today?" Lily nodded eagerly, her eyes bright with anticipation. One of the things Dr. Tanaka most appreciated about her youngest student was her hunger to learn. Many children, even talented ones, grew restless after 15 or 20 minutes of practice. Lily could focus for an hour or more, completely absorbed in the music. At home, Chen and Mei-Lin had rearranged their schedules to accommodate Lily's blossoming talent. Mei-Lin switched to night shifts at the hospital 3 days a week, so she could take Lily to afternoon lessons. Chen, who worked as a graphic designer, had convinced his company to let him work from home 2 days a week. They never pushed Lily to practice. They didn't need to. The challenge was often getting her to stop playing long enough to eat dinner or take a bath. "Do you think we're doing enough to make sure she has a normal childhood?" Chen asked one night after they had finally coaxed Lily to bed. She had wanted to keep playing even though her eyes were drooping with exhaustion. Mei-Lin considered the question carefully. "Remember what Dr. Tanaka said about balance? I think we're trying. She still has playdates with the neighbors' kids. She still loves her picture books and stuffed animals. She still makes a mess with finger paints and builds wobbly towers with blocks. But the piano is different," Chen said. "You see how she lights up when she plays. It's like she becomes more herself, not less." 4 months into her lessons, Lily could play the entire first movement of Fur Elise from memory. Dr. Tanaka had adapted certain passages to accommodate her small hands, but the essence of the piece remained intact. What amazed the teacher most was not just Lily's technical ability, but her musicality, the way she naturally understood the emotional landscape of the music. "Some students can play all the right notes," Dr. Tanaka explained to Chen and Mei-Lin during one of their regular check-ins, "but they don't feel the music. Lily doesn't just play the notes, she tells the story behind them. This is something that cannot be taught." As Lily neared her 4th birthday, Dr. Tanaka suggested they record a video of her playing. "Just for your family archives," she said. "It will be wonderful for her to look back on someday, and it helps me assess her progress from a different perspective." The day of the recording, they dressed Lily in her favorite blue dress with tiny yellow flowers. Chen set up his camera on a tripod in Dr. Tanaka's studio, and Mei-Lin gently brushed Lily's hair, which had grown long enough for 2 small pigtails. "Are you nervous?" Mei-Lin asked. Lily looked puzzled. "Why would I be nervous? It's just piano." They all chuckled at her matter-of-fact response. To Lily, making music was as natural as breathing. The recording went smoothly. Lily played Fur Elise all the way through with only one small hesitation, which she recovered from so gracefully that it hardly mattered. She also played 2 simpler pieces she had learned, a Bach minuet and a folk song Dr. Tanaka had arranged especially for her. That evening, Chen edited the video, trimming the beginning and end and adjusting the sound quality. When they watched it together as a family, he and Mei-Lin felt a strange mixture of pride, awe, and something like fear. Seeing their tiny daughter commanding the piano with such assurance, it was impossible to deny that her gift was extraordinary. "Do you think we should share this with anyone?" Chen asked after Lily had gone to bed. Mei-Lin hesitated. "Maybe just family? Your parents and mine would love to see it. And my brother in California." Chen nodded, but something made him pause before uploading the video to their private family sharing site. "Let me check with Dr. Tanaka first. She might have thoughts about this." Dr. Tanaka did indeed have thoughts. When Chen mentioned their plans to share the video with extended family, she invited both parents to sit down for a longer conversation after Lily's next lesson. "There is something we need to discuss," she said once Lily was happily occupied with drawing in the waiting area, supervised by Dr. Tanaka's assistant. "Lily's progress has been exceptional, beyond what I anticipated even given her obvious talent." Chen and Mei-Lin exchanged glances, unsure where this was heading. I believe she is ready for new challenges, Dr. Tanaka continued. Not just more difficult pieces, but perhaps some limited performance experience. Performance? Maylin echoed. But she's not even 4 yet. Dr. Tanaka nodded. I understand your concern, and I would never suggest putting her on a big stage or in a high-pressure situation. But there are appropriate venues, small recitals with my other students, community events where the atmosphere is supportive and the expectations modest. Would that be good for her? Chen asked. She's so young. Some children, Dr. Tanaka explained, thrive on sharing their music. From what I've observed, Lily seems to be one of them. When her grandparents visited last month and she played for them, did you notice how she came alive in a different way? How her posture changed, her focus intensified? They had noticed. Lily had performed her pieces for her grandparents with a poise that seemed impossible in a child so young, clearly drawing energy from their delighted reactions. I'm suggesting we take very small steps, Dr. Tanaka assured them. My studio recital next month would be a good start. It's just my students and their families. In a small church hall, Lily would play one short piece, 2 minutes maximum. After discussing it further, they agreed to let Lily participate in the recital. When they asked if she wanted to play piano for other people, her enthusiastic yes settled any lingering doubts. The weeks leading up to the recital were filled with preparation. Dr. Tanaka selected a simpler piece than Fur Elise, a charming arrangement of a Mozart theme that showed off Lily's musicality without overtaxing her technically. They practiced not just the notes but the whole performance ritual, walking to the piano, adjusting the bench, acknowledging the audience with a small bow, and waiting for complete silence before beginning. The evening of the recital arrived on a warm spring day. Lily wore a new dress for the occasion, a gift from her grandparents. In the car on the way to the church hall, Chen and Mei Lin were far more nervous than their daughter, who hummed happily in her car seat, occasionally practicing finger movements on her knees. The recital featured 15 of Dr. Tanaka's students, ranging in age from Lily to a serious-looking teenager who played a challenging Chopin piece. Lily was scheduled in the middle of the program, which Dr. Tanaka had arranged deliberately to minimize waiting time. When Lily's turn came, a ripple of whispers went through the audience as the tiny performer made her way to the piano. Dr. Tanaka had arranged for a special bench with extra height and a footrest to help Lily sit properly at the instrument. Without hesitation, Lily adjusted her position, looked out at the audience with a small smile, and began to play. The Mozart theme flowed from her fingers with a clarity and expressiveness that belied her age. The audience sat in rapt attention, many exchanging glances of astonishment. When she finished and gave her practiced bow, the applause was thunderous. Lily beamed with pleasure, clearly enjoying the response to her music. Afterward, several parents approached Chen and Mei Lin, showering them with compliments about their daughter's performance. How long has she been playing? One mother asked incredulously. Just since she was 3, Mei Lin answered. So about 9 months of lessons. The woman's eyes widened. My son has been taking lessons for 4 years and he's nowhere near that level. She's truly gifted. On the drive home, Lily fell asleep almost immediately, clutching the small bouquet of flowers Dr. Tanaka had presented to each student. Chen glanced at her in the rearview mirror, then at Mei Lin. She loved it, he said softly. Did you see her face when everyone clapped? Mei Lin nodded. It wasn't just showing off, though. It was like she wanted to share something important with them. The studio recital marked a turning point. Over the next few months, Dr. Tanaka gradually introduced Lily to other small performance opportunities. A mini-concert at a local senior center, where the elderly residents were enchanted by the tiny pianist. A community cultural festival, where she played alongside much older students, and a special event at the children's wing of the hospital where Mei Lin worked. With each performance, Lily's confidence grew. She rarely showed nerves before playing, instead exhibiting a focused calm that many adult performers would envy. By her 4th birthday, she had built a small repertoire of pieces she could play reliably and expressively, with Fur Elise remaining her favorite and most accomplished work. It was after one such performance that Dr. Tanaka approached them with a printed flyer in hand. I don't normally suggest competitions for students so young, she began cautiously. But this is different. The World Young Pianist Competition has a special junior division this year, and the emphasis is on musical expression rather than technical difficulty. Chen took the flyer, noting the prestigious names on the judging panel. This looks like a very serious event. Dr. Tanaka nodded. It is. And normally I would never suggest a 4-year-old participate in such a thing. But Lily is not a normal 4-year-old when it comes to music. Would she be competing against much older children? Mei Lin asked, concerned. Yes, the junior division is for children under 12. Most competitors will be between 8 and 11. Dr. Tanaka acknowledged. But age isn't always the determining factor in music. What matters is the connection to the piece, the ability to communicate its essence. And in that, Lily has a rare gift. Chen and Mei Lin promised to think about it, neither wanting to make a hasty decision that could affect their daughter so profoundly. That night, after tucking Lily into bed, they sat at their kitchen table with cups of tea, the competition flyer between them. What do you think? Mei Lin asked. Is it too much pressure? She's still so little. Chen turned the flyer over thoughtfully. Dr. Tanaka has been so careful with her. She wouldn't suggest this if she thought it would harm Lily. But a world competition? With judges and crowds and all that pressure? Maybe we should ask Lily, Chen suggested. In simple terms, of course. See how she feels about playing piano for people she doesn't know, in a new place. They agreed this was the best approach. The next morning over breakfast, they broached the subject carefully. Lily, Mei Lin began, how do you feel when you play piano for people you don't know? Lily considered the question seriously, spoon halfway to her mouth. Happy, she said finally. I like when the music makes people smile. What if there were lots of people listening? Chen asked. Would that scare you? Lily shook her head. No, more people means more smiles. Her simple answer touched them deeply. Here was their child, not yet consumed by the self-consciousness that plagued older children and adults, seeing only the joy her music could bring. The decision was made. They would enter Lily in the World Young Pianist Competition, but with certain conditions they discussed at length with Dr. Tanaka. The focus would remain on the joy of music, not winning. They would shield Lily from any negative aspects of competition, and at the first sign that she wasn't enjoying the process, they would withdraw, no matter how far along they were. With these guidelines in place, they began the journey toward what would become an extraordinary chapter in their daughter's already remarkable story. The application for the World Young Pianist competition arrived in Dr. Tanaka's email with a list of requirements that made Chen and Mei Lin's eyes widen. Competitors needed to prepare 3 pieces from different musical periods, submit a video audition, and if selected as finalists, perform live before a panel of internationally renowned judges in Vienna. Austria, Vienna, Mei Lin whispered, the weight of the word hanging in the air between them. The city of Mozart and Beethoven. Chen nodded slowly. Do you think we're in over our heads? Dr. Tanaka, who had invited them to her studio after hours to discuss the application, considered their concerns thoughtfully. It's natural to feel intimidated. This is one of the most prestigious competitions for young pianists in the world. But remember why we're considering this. Not to win a prize, but to give Lily an experience that matches her musical growth. What about the 3 pieces requirement? Chen asked, scanning the application. She knows Fur Elise well, but the other pieces in her repertoire are much simpler. We have 4 months before the video submission deadline, Dr. Tanaka explained. Based on her progress so far, I believe she can prepare 2 additional pieces of appropriate difficulty, perhaps a Bach invention and a more contemporary piece by Kabalevsky or Khachaturian from the children's albums. Both would showcase different aspects of her musicality. The conversation continued late into the evening, weighing practical matters against their deeper concerns about Lily's well-being. They discussed everything from the increased practice schedule to the potential for disappointment, from travel logistics to how they would explain the concept of competition to a 4-year-old. I propose we approach this step by step, Dr. Tanaka suggested finally. First, let's work on the additional repertoire. If that goes well, we'll make the video. Only if Lily is selected as a finalist would we need to make the decision about traveling to Vienna. This measured approach reassured Chen and Mei Lin. That night, as they drove home past darkened houses, they felt a curious mixture of anxiety and excitement. Remember when our biggest worry was whether she'd sleep through the night? Chen said with a small laugh. Mei-Lin reached over to squeeze his hand. I keep thinking about what my mother said when Lily was born, that children come into the world with their own gifts, and our job is just to help them unwrap them. The next few weeks brought a new intensity to Lily's music study. Dr. Tanaka carefully selected 2 additional pieces, a Bach minuet that would showcase Lily's developing technical precision and a playful, colorful piece called The Little Ballerina by Khachaturian that suited her natural expressiveness. Lily approached the new challenges with her characteristic enthusiasm, though even she occasionally showed frustration when her small fingers couldn't immediately achieve what her musical mind heard. I can't reach, she complained one day, trying to stretch her hand for a particular chord in the Bach piece. Dr. Tanaka calmly demonstrated an alternative fingering. Even grown-up pianists have to find their own way to play certain passages. Your hands will grow, but for now, we adapt. As the repertoire developed, they increased lessons to 3 times weekly. Chen and Mei-Lin carefully monitored Lily for signs of burnout or stress, ready to step back if the preparation became too demanding. But Lily continued to approach the piano with joy, often waking up in the morning asking if she could play her songs before breakfast. 6 weeks into the intensive preparation, Dr. Tanaka suggested making a preliminary recording, not for submission but for assessment. Let's see where we stand, she explained. It will help us identify what needs the most work in the remaining time. They set up the recording session on a Sunday morning, when Lily was typically at her freshest. Chen positioned his camera to capture both Lily and the keyboard, while Mei-Lin sat nearby offering quiet encouragement. The Bach minuet went smoothly, Lily's small fingers moving with precision through the intricate patterns. Fur Elise showed her growing mastery, with only a few hesitations in the more challenging middle section. But during The Little Ballerina, something unexpected happened. Lily began to add her own subtle variations to certain passages, small changes in emphasis and timing that weren't in the written score. When they played back the recording later with Dr. Tanaka, the teacher was fascinated by these spontaneous additions. This is remarkable, she said, replaying a particular section. Do you hear how she's finding her own voice within the piece? Many advanced pianists never develop this level of interpretative confidence. But the recording also revealed challenges. Lily's hands still struggled with some of the reaches required, and her concentration occasionally wavered during longer passages. Most notably, the special pedal extender they'd been using to help her reach the sustain pedal created inconsistent sound quality. The pedal is a particular concern for the competition, Dr. Tanaka admitted. Judges will be listening for proper pedal technique, but with her size, could she perform without using the pedal? Chen asked. Dr. Tanaka shook her head. Not for Fur Elise. The pedal is essential for the legato sections and the overall atmosphere of the piece. This technical challenge led to weeks of problem solving. They tried different pedal extenders, consulted with a piano technician, and even considered switching to a smaller piano with a modified action. Finally, Dr. Tanaka reached out to a former colleague who specialized in adapting instruments. For physically challenged musicians, he believes he can create a custom pedal extension that will give Lily more consistent control, she reported. It won't be perfect, but it should be functional enough for the competition requirements. As these technical issues were being addressed, another concern emerged. Word had begun to spread about the 4-year-old pianist preparing for an international competition. A local music magazine requested an interview, and the director of a nearby music school asked if Lily could perform at their annual showcase. People are getting excited, Mei-Lin told Chen worriedly. What if we're building up expectations too much? What if she doesn't even make it past the video round? Chen shared her concerns. Maybe we should keep a lower profile until after the competition? They consulted with Dr. Tanaka, who agreed that protecting Lily from excessive attention was important. Together, they crafted polite refusals to the various requests, explaining that Lily was focusing on her musical development and wasn't available for interviews or performances at this time. With 8 weeks left before the submission deadline, they established a gentle but consistent routine. Lily practiced in focused 30-minute sessions twice daily, always with either Chen, Mei-Lin, or Dr. Tanaka present to guide her. They were careful to balance this intensive work with plenty of normal childhood activities, play dates with neighborhood children, trips to the park, bedtime stories, and free play. How will we explain the competition to her? Maylin asked one evening as they watched Lily building an elaborate fort out of sofa cushions, temporarily uninterested in the piano for the first time that day. I've been thinking about that, Chen replied. What if we describe it as a special concert where she can share her music with people who love piano, just like she does? This framing seemed right, emphasizing the sharing of music rather than competing against others. When they explained it to Lily in these terms, she readily embraced the idea. Will there be other kids playing piano too? She asked. Yes, lots of them, Maylin answered. Some older than you, some younger. Lily considered this thoughtfully. Can I listen to them too? Her question touched them deeply. Here was their daughter, more interested in hearing others play than in being judged herself. With a month left before the video submission, the custom pedal extension arrived from Dr. Tanaka's colleague. It was an ingenious device that attached to the piano's existing pedal, but extended upward at an angle Lily could reach comfortably from the bench. After some adjustment and practice, she was able to achieve much more consistent pedaling, though it required extra concentration. The final weeks of preparation brought inevitable moments of tension. There were days when Lily seemed tired or distracted, when the pieces didn't flow as naturally as before. During one difficult practice session, she actually slid off the bench and declared, I don't want to play piano today. Chen and Maylin exchanged alarmed glances, remembering their promise to withdraw if Lily stopped enjoying the process. That's completely fine, Maylin said calmly. What would you like to do instead? Go to the park, Lily answered promptly. And then ice cream. They honored her request without hesitation, spending the afternoon at the neighborhood playground and stopping for ice cream afterward. By the next morning, Lily was back at the piano before breakfast, playing The Little Ballerina with renewed enthusiasm. Children need these breaks, Dr. Tanaka reassured them later. Even the most dedicated young musicians hit walls sometimes. The key is that she came back to it on her own. Finally, the day arrived to make the official recording for submission. They had reserved Dr. Tanaka's studio for a Sunday morning, arranged for professional recording equipment, and prepared everything meticulously. Lily wore her favorite blue dress, the same one from the first recording they'd made, though now it was almost too small. Her hair, longer now, was tied back with a ribbon to keep it from falling in her face while she played. To everyone's surprise, Lily showed no nervousness about the recording. While Chen adjusted lighting and Maylin fussed with the bench height, she sat quietly looking through a picture book about Vienna that they had been reading together. Look, she said, pointing to a photo of the Musikverein, the grand concert hall where the competition finals would be held. That's where all the piano friends will play. Piano friends was how they had come to refer to the other competitors, another way of framing the event positively. When everything was ready, Dr. Tanaka knelt beside Lily. Remember what we talked about for recording day? Just play from your heart the way you always do. If anything doesn't feel right, we can stop and try again. Lily nodded solemnly, then walked to the piano with the measured steps they had practiced. She adjusted the bench carefully, placed her hands in her lap for a moment of preparation, and then began the Bach minuet. From the first notes, it was clear this was going to be a special performance. Lily played with remarkable focus, her small face serious with concentration, yet somehow also serene. When she finished the Bach and moved directly into The Little Ballerina, her expression brightened, matching the playful character of the music. But it was during Fur Elise that something truly magical happened. As she began the familiar opening theme, a slight smile touched her lips as if she were greeting an old friend. Throughout the piece, she used the pedal extension with newfound confidence, creating the flowing, dreamy quality the music demanded. In the challenging middle section, where she had sometimes hesitated before, she played with certainty and grace. When the final notes faded, there was a moment of complete silence in the studio. Then Dr. Tanaka, who had maintained her professional composure throughout the preparation process, wiped a tear from her eye. That, she said quietly, was beautiful. Later, reviewing the recording, they could hardly believe the poised musical performance had come from their 4-year-old daughter. There were still some technical limitations due to her size, but the musicality and emotional communication were undeniable. Do you think it's good enough? Mei-Lin asked as they prepared to upload the video to the competition website. Dr. Tanaka considered the question thoughtfully. In terms of technical perfection, there are certainly older children who can play more difficult pieces. But in terms of musical understanding and natural expressivity, Lily has something very special. Whether that will be enough for the judges to overlook her age and technical limitations, we'll have to wait and see. As Chen clicked the submission button, sending Lily's performance halfway around the world to be judged by people they would never meet, he felt a mixture of pride, anxiety, and wonder. Whatever happens next, he said, squeezing Mei-Lin's hand, she's already accomplished something extraordinary. None of them could have predicted just how extraordinary the next chapter would be, or how their lives would change when the email arrived 6 weeks later, inviting Lily Chen, age 4, to perform as a finalist at the World Young Pianist Competition in Vienna. The email from the World Young Pianist Competition arrived on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Chen was working at his desk when the notification pinged on his computer. He opened it without much thought, then froze, reading and rereading the words on the screen. "Mei-Lin," he called out, his voice cracking slightly. "Mei-Lin, come here." His wife hurried into the room, alarmed by his tone. "What is it? What's wrong?" Wordlessly, Chen turned the screen toward her. The email was brief and formal, but its meaning was clear. Lily Chen, age 4, had been selected as one of 12 finalists in the junior division of the World Young Pianist Competition. She was invited to perform live in Vienna, Austria, in exactly 6 weeks. "Oh my goodness," Mei-Lin whispered, gripping the back of Chen's chair for support. "She made it. She actually made it." They sat together in stunned silence for several minutes, the magnitude of the news slowly sinking in. Their 4-year-old daughter would be performing on a world stage, in the city of Mozart and Beethoven, before judges who had evaluated some of the finest young musical talents of the past decade. "Should we call Dr. Tanaka?" Mei-Lin asked finally. Chen nodded, reaching for his phone. "And then we need to figure out how to explain this to Lily." Dr. Tanaka's reaction was more measured, but her voice betrayed her excitement. "This is extraordinary news, but not unexpected," she said. Lily's submission was truly special. The challenge now becomes preparing her not just musically, but emotionally and practically for this experience. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. There were passports to arrange, flights to book, accommodations to secure, and countless details about the competition itself to understand. The organizers sent a detailed packet explaining the schedule. Each finalist would perform their 3 pieces before the judges and a live audience, with awards announced the following day at a special ceremony. Throughout the preparations, Chen and Mei-Lin remained focused on how to make this a positive experience for Lily, regardless of the outcome. They sat down with her one evening after dinner, the globe from her bedroom positioned between them on the living room floor. "Do you remember the special concert we told you about, where you can share your music with other piano friends?" Mei-Lin began gently. Lily nodded, spinning the globe with her small hand. "Well, the people who organized that concert heard you're playing, and they've invited you to come perform," Chen explained. "But the concert is very far away, in a city called Vienna." He guided her hand to find Austria on the globe. "Is that where Beethoven lived?" Lily asked. They had been reading a picture book about famous composers, and this detail had apparently stuck with her. "Yes, exactly," Mei-Lin smiled. "Beethoven lived there, and Mozart too. It's a city full of beautiful music. Would you like to go there and play your piano pieces for people?" Lily considered this seriously, her forehead creasing in thought. "Will you and Daddy and Dr. Tanaka come too?" "Absolutely," Chen assured her. "We'll all be right there with you." Then yes, she decided firmly. "I want to play in Beethoven's city." The simplicity of her answer touched them deeply. To Lily, this wasn't about competition or achievement. It was about sharing music in a place where music was loved. Dr. Tanaka recommended maintaining Lily's current practice schedule, rather than intensifying it further. "The pieces are well prepared," she explained. "What's important now is keeping them fresh and joyful, not drilling them until they become mechanical." Instead, they focused on preparing Lily for the practical aspects of the experience: the travel, the unfamiliar surroundings, the larger audience, the formal procedures of the competition. "Will there be a big crowd?" Lily asked during one practice session. "Yes, probably bigger than you're used to," Dr. Tanaka acknowledged. "But remember, They're all there because they love music just like you do. Think of them as friends who've come to listen to the stories you tell with your playing. They practiced walking onto a stage, adjusting the bench, acknowledging the audience, and waiting for complete silence before beginning. They showed Lily pictures of the venue, a beautiful hall with gilded decorations and crystal chandeliers. They talked about the judges, not as scary evaluators, but as music teachers who want to hear everyone play their very best. As the departure date approached, another challenge emerged. The competition required all performers to play on the same concert grand piano, which would be significantly different from Dr. Tanaka's smaller instrument. More concerning was the pedal issue. Lily's custom pedal extension couldn't be attached to the competition piano. "What are our options?" Maylin asked worriedly. Dr. Tanaka had already been in contact with the competition organizers. "They're being quite accommodating," she reported. "They've agreed to provide a professional-grade adjustable bench, and they're working on a pedal solution. They've had young performers before, though perhaps not quite as young as Lily." 2 days before their departure, a package arrived from Vienna containing detailed information about the competition schedule, along with a note addressed specifically to the parents of Lily Chen. The competition director expressed her enthusiasm about having such a young finalist and assured them that every effort would be made to accommodate Lily's physical requirements. "They seem genuinely supportive," Chen said, relieved. "I suspect they're also intrigued," Dr. Tanaka added. "A 4-year-old finalist is quite newsworthy." The flight to Vienna was Lily's first time on an airplane. While Chen and Maylin had worried about how she would handle the long journey, their daughter surprised them with her adaptability. She was fascinated by the experience, especially the way the clouds looked from above, and spent hours drawing pictures in the special travel journal they had given her. They arrived in Vienna 2 days before the competition to allow time for adjustment and for Lily to familiarize herself with the competition piano. Their hotel was a small family-run establishment near the historic center, its walls adorned with paintings of famous composers and vintage concert posters. "Beethoven," Lily exclaimed, pointing to a portrait in the lobby. The hotel manager smiled warmly at her, impressed by her recognition. "You are here for the competition, yes? Our youngest competitor ever, I believe." News of the 4-year-old pianist had apparently spread throughout the city's musical community. The morning after their arrival, they went to the Musikverein for Lily's scheduled practice session. The historic building was even more impressive in person than in photographs, its ornate facade gleaming in the spring sunlight. Inside, the hallways were lined with busts of composers and vintage concert programs in glass cases. Lily walked through the corridors with wide eyes, taking in every detail. When they entered the performance hall where the competition would be held, she gasped audibly. The room was magnificent, with rows of seats rising up from the stage, golden decorations adorning the walls and ceiling, and an enormous crystal chandelier hanging overhead. "It's like a palace," she whispered to her mother. On the stage stood the competition piano, a magnificent concert grand that seemed enormous compared to the instruments Lily had played before. A technician and one of the competition organizers were waiting for them, along with Dr. Tanaka, who had arrived the previous day. "This is our young finalist," the organizer, a tall woman with silver hair, asked warmly. "Welcome to Vienna, Lily. Would you like to try our piano?" Lily nodded, suddenly shy in these grand surroundings. The technician had prepared a special bench with extra height, and beside the piano stood a pedal extension that looked more sophisticated than the one they had used at home. "Our technician designed this specially. When we heard about your participation," the organizer explained. "Let's see if it works for you." With Dr. Tanaka's encouragement, Lily climbed onto the bench and positioned her hands over the keys. She began with a simple scale, testing the feel of the instrument. The sound rang out magnificently in the perfect acoustics of the hall. Lily's eyes widened with delight, and she immediately launched into the opening of Fur Elise. The organizer exchanged glances with the technician, clearly impressed by the tiny pianist's confidence. "The pedal extension is comfortable?" she asked when Lily paused. Lily tried a few experimental movements with her right foot, reaching for the special attachment. "It feels different," she said honestly. "I need to practice more with it." They arranged for Lily to have additional practice time that afternoon and the following morning to become comfortable with the new setup. By the end of the second session, she was managing the pedal extension effectively, though it still required extra concentration. The day of the competition dawned bright and clear. Lily woke early, asking immediately if it was time to play in Beethoven's hall. Her excitement seemed to outweigh any nervousness, though Chen and Mei Lin were anxious enough for all of them. Remember, Dr. Tanaka told them over breakfast, today is about the experience, not the outcome. Regardless of where Lily places, what matters is that she enjoys sharing her music and learns from hearing the other young pianists perform. The competition began at 10:01 a.m., with the youngest division scheduled first. The 12 finalists ranged in age from Lily at 4 to 11-year-olds who had been playing for 7 or 8 years. Backstage, the other children and their parents regarded Lily with curious glances, some whispering behind their hands. One kind boy from South Korea, perhaps 9 years old, gave her a thumbs-up sign and showed her his sheet music, pointing to his favorite passages. The drawing for performance order placed Lily 7th in the lineup, exactly in the middle. This meant she would have time to settle in and watch some performances, but wouldn't have to wait until the end when fatigue might become a factor. As the first competitors played, Lily sat between her parents in the audience, listening with rapt attention. Each young pianist performed the same 3 pieces they had submitted in their video auditions, though now refined and polished after additional months of preparation. The standard was exceptionally high, with several performances that left the audience murmuring in appreciation. "They're all so good," Mei Lin whispered to Chen, a note of worry in her voice. He squeezed her hand reassuringly. "They're also all much older. Remember what Dr. Tanaka said. This is about the experience." When it was time for Lily's performance, Dr. Tanaka led her backstage while Chen and Mei Lin moved to seats near the front. The backstage coordinator, a young woman with a clipboard, knelt down to Lily's level. "Are you ready, sweetheart? It's almost your turn." Lily nodded solemnly, smoothing the skirt of her blue dress, a new one made especially for this occasion, but similar to the one from her first recording that she considered lucky. As the 6th performer completed their final piece, and the audience applauded, the coordinator guided Lily to the stage entrance. "When I give you this signal," she demonstrated a nod, "you walk out to the piano, adjust your bench, and begin whenever you're ready. Take your time." The previous performer exited the stage looking flushed but pleased. The master of ceremonies stepped to the microphone. "Our next performer in the junior division is Lily Chen from the United States, age 4 years and 3 months, presenting works by Bach, Beethoven, and Khachaturian." A ripple of whispers spread through the audience at the mention of her age. The coordinator gave Lily the signal, and she walked onto the stage with measured steps, just as they had practiced countless times. Despite the enormous hall and hundreds of eyes upon her, she moved with remarkable composure toward the waiting piano. From their seats, Chen and Mei Lin watched their daughter with hearts pounding. She looked impossibly small on the vast stage, approaching the enormous concert grand with its specially modified bench and pedal, but when she sat down, adjusted her position carefully, and placed her hands in her lap for a moment of concentration, she suddenly seemed to grow in presence. Lily began with the Bach minuet, her small fingers moving with precision across the keys. The crystalline notes filled the hall, clear and true in the perfect acoustics. She then moved directly into the little ballerina, the playful Khachaturian piece that showcased her natural expressiveness. Several audience members smiled at the charming interpretation. Finally, she began the opening notes of Fur Elise, the piece that had been her favorite from the beginning. As the familiar melody unfolded, something remarkable happened. Lily seemed to forget the audience, the judges, even the unfamiliar piano. She played with a freedom and emotional connection that transcended her technical limitations, and telling the musical story with such genuine feeling that many in the audience leaned forward in their seats, drawn in by the authenticity of her interpretation. When she finished and the final notes faded into silence, there was a moment of complete stillness in the hall. Then the applause began, growing quickly into thunderous appreciation. Lily stood up and gave a small, practiced bow, her face serious until she spotted her parents in the front row. Then a smile broke through, illuminating her features with joy. As she walked off stage, the applause continued, and Chen could see several audience members wiping away tears. Dr. Tanaka was waiting in the wings, Her usual professional composure momentarily abandoned as she knelt to embrace Lily. "That was beautiful," she whispered. "Absolutely beautiful." The remaining performers faced the unenviable task of following Lily's touching performance. While many played with greater technical skill or tackled more challenging repertoire, there was something about the pure, unaffected musicality of the tiny pianist that had clearly moved the audience. After the final competitor had performed, the master of ceremonies announced that the judges would deliberate overnight, with results announced at tomorrow's award ceremony. As they left the hall, several audience members approached Chen and Mei Lin to compliment Lily's playing, many expressing amazement at her poise and musical sensitivity. Back at their hotel, Lily showed no signs of post-performance tension. While her parents and Dr. Tanaka still buzzed with the emotion of the event, she simply asked for ice cream and then spent a happy hour drawing pictures of the grand hall and the big piano in her journal. "Do you think she has any idea what she accomplished today?" Mei Lin asked Chen as they watched their daughter contentedly coloring, humming Beethoven under her breath. Chen shook his head in wonder. "I don't think so. And maybe that's the beauty of it all. She just loves the music. Everything else is grown-up stuff." As night fell over Vienna, the city where so many musical legends had lived and created, Lily fell asleep clutching her stuffed bear, dreaming not of competitions or awards, but simply of music, the language that had already become her own. Morning sunlight streamed through the hotel room window, painting golden stripes across Lily's bed. She was already awake, sitting cross-legged on the covers and looking through the picture book about Vienna they had brought from home. Chen watched from the doorway, struck by how ordinary she seemed this morning. Just a little girl with messy hair, absorbed in a book after yesterday's extraordinary performance. "Good morning, piano star," he said softly. Lily looked up and grinned. "Morning, Daddy, can we have pancakes?" "I think that can be arranged." He sat down beside her. "Are you excited about the award ceremony today?" She shrugged, turning a page in her book. "Will I get to play piano again?" "Not today. Today they announce which pianists they thought played the very best." Lily considered this, her forehead wrinkling slightly. But everyone played really good. The boy with the red hair played so fast, and the tall girl made the soft parts sound like whispers. Her observations touched Chen. While the adults had been wrapped up in the competition aspect, Lily had been genuinely appreciating her fellow performers. "You're right," he agreed. "Everyone played beautifully in their own way. That's what makes music so special." At breakfast in the hotel dining room, they found Dr. Tanaka already seated at a corner table, sipping tea. She looked uncharacteristically nervous, fidgeting with her napkin. "Did you sleep well?" Mei Lin asked as they joined her. "Hardly at all," Dr. Tanaka admitted with a small laugh. "I kept replaying every performance in my mind, trying to guess what the judges might be thinking." "And?" Chen prompted, keeping his voice casual as he helped Lily with her orange juice. Dr. Tanaka shook her head. "Impossible to say. The standard was exceptionally high. Several of the older children played very challenging pieces with impressive technical skill. She didn't need to state what they were all thinking, that in a traditional competition judged purely on technical accomplishment, a 4-year-old would be at an insurmountable disadvantage. No matter how musical Lily's playing, her small hands and limited physical development simply couldn't match the capabilities of children 2 or 3 times her age. "Well, whatever happens, we're incredibly proud," Mei Lin said firmly. "And we've had a wonderful experience in this beautiful city." Lily, more interested in her pancakes than the adults' conversation, hummed softly between bites, the melody from The Little Ballerina, still fresh in her mind from yesterday's performance. The award ceremony was scheduled for 2 p.m. at the same concert hall. As they entered the building, they noticed a buzz of excitement among the staff and volunteers. Several people smiled at Lily or pointed discreetly as they passed. Outside the main hall, photographers from local newspapers were setting up equipment. "There seems to be extra interest today," Dr. Tanaka observed. "Maybe they're always like this for the awards," Chen suggested, though he too had noticed the unusual level of activity. Inside, the hall was filling rapidly with audience members, many more than had attended the performances the previous day. All 12 finalists and their families had been assigned seats in the front rows. As they took their places, Lily waved to the Korean boy who had shown her his music backstage. He grinned and waved back. At precisely 2 the lights dimmed slightly and the competition director, a distinguished woman with silver hair pulled into an elegant knot, took the stage. She welcomed everyone in both German and English, then introduced the panel of 7 judges seated to her right, renowned pianists, music professors, and competition winners from previous generations. Before we announce the results, she continued, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the exceptional standard of performances we witnessed yesterday. Each young artist brought their unique voice to the music, giving us not just technical accomplishment but genuine musical communication. The audience applauded warmly. The director then explained the judging criteria: technical proficiency, musical interpretation, stage presence, and overall artistic impression. She emphasized that the judges had engaged in lengthy deliberations before reaching their decisions. We will now announce the special recognition awards, followed by the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place winners. The special awards included Most Promising Technique for a 9-year-old from Japan, Outstanding Interpretation for an 11-year-old from Germany, and Exceptional Artistry for a 10-year-old from Brazil. With each announcement, the child would walk onto the stage to receive a certificate and small trophy, while their proud parents applauded enthusiastically. As the director prepared to announce the main prizes, Lily fidgeted slightly in her seat. How much longer? She whispered to her mother. Not too much longer, Maylin assured her. Just 3 more announcements. The 3rd place winner was the Korean boy who had been kind to Lily backstage, Junho, age 9. He walked to the stage with dignified steps, bowing respectfully to the judges before accepting his bronze medal and certificate. And now, the 2nd place award goes to... The director opened another envelope. Anastasia Petrov, age 11, from Russia. A tall girl with a serious expression and a single long braid stood up several seats away from the Chen family. She walked confidently to the stage, accepting her silver medal with a poised smile. Chen and Maylin exchanged glances. With the strongest technical performers already awarded, it seemed unlikely that Lily would receive any recognition. They prepared themselves to handle any disappointment she might feel, though she seemed more interested in the colorful program she was folding into a paper airplane than in the ceremony itself. Finally, the director said, her voice taking on a note of special warmth, I have the great pleasure of announcing our 1st place winner in the junior division. The hall grew completely silent. Maylin reached over to take Chen's hand, squeezing it tightly. This year's gold medal goes to Lily Chen, age 4, from the United States of America. For a moment, the words didn't register. Chen and Maylin sat frozen in shock. It was Dr. Tanaka who reacted first, her professional composure finally breaking as she clasped a hand over her mouth. Lily, Maylin whispered, her voice trembling. Lily, that's you. You won 1st place. Lily looked up from her paper airplane, confused by the sudden commotion. All around them, audience members were standing, applauding thunderously. Several were pointing toward their row, smiling and nodding. They called your name, sweetheart, Chen explained, his own voice unsteady. They want you to go up to the stage. Understanding dawned on Lily's face. She carefully set down her paper airplane and stood up, straightening her dress with small hands. Chen started to rise to accompany her, but Dr. Tanaka gently touched his arm. Let her go alone, she said softly. She can do it. With all eyes in the hall upon her, Lily walked down the aisle and up the steps to the stage with the same measured pace she had used for her performance. The competition director knelt down to her level, presenting a gleaming gold medal on a blue ribbon and a crystal trophy that seemed almost as big as Lily herself. Congratulations, young artist, she said, her voice carrying through the microphone. You have touched many hearts with your music. The applause grew even louder as Lily accepted the awards, looking slightly bewildered by all the attention. A photographer stepped forward, asking her to pose with the trophy. After a moment of consideration, Lily held it up with both hands, a small, shy smile lighting her face. As she made her way back to her seat, carrying her trophy carefully, the competition director spoke again, quieting the continuing applause. I would like to share with you some of the judges' comments about our gold medalists' performance, she said. While many of our finalists demonstrated superior technical skill, appropriate to their more advanced ages, Lily Chen showed us something equally valuable in music: the pure, natural connection between emotion and expression. As one judge noted, she doesn't just play the notes. She tells the story with complete conviction. Another observed that her performance had the rare quality of making us forget the performer and hear only the music itself. The director paused, looking directly at the Chen family. Our youngest ever gold medalist reminds us that music is not merely a technical achievement, but a form of communication from the heart. Sometimes it takes a child to show us this fundamental truth. The ceremony concluded with a reception in an elegant room adjacent to the concert hall. Officials, judges, and audience members lined up to congratulate Lily and her parents. The other young performers came by as well, surprisingly gracious in their acknowledgement of the tiny pianist who had won the top prize. Junho, the third-place winner, gave Lily a high five. "Your Beethoven was really good," he said in careful English. "Maybe we can play together sometime." Amid the swirl of congratulations and photographs, a woman introduced herself as a reporter for a major classical music magazine. "Would you mind if I ask Lily a few questions?" she inquired. "We'd love to feature her in our next issue." Chen and Mei Lin exchanged glances, then nodded cautiously. The reporter knelt down to Lily's level, notepad in hand. "Lily, how do you feel about winning the gold medal today?" Lily considered the question seriously, her medal now hanging somewhat lopsided around her neck. "It's very shiny," she said finally. "And heavy." The adults laughed, charmed by her literal response. The reporter tried again. "What do you like most about playing piano?" This time Lily answered without hesitation. "I like how the music feels inside." She placed a small hand over her heart. "It feels like colors and stories all mixed together." Her simple yet profound answer left the reporter momentarily speechless. Later, it would become the headline of the article that introduced Lily Chen to the classical music world. "It feels like colors and stories, the pure musical vision of a 4-year-old prodigy." By the time they returned to their hotel, Lily was overwhelmed with excitement and fatigue. While she splashed in the bathtub, Chen, Mei Lin, and Dr. Tanaka sat in the adjoining room, still processing the day's events. "I never expected this outcome," Dr. Tanaka admitted. "I hoped for recognition, perhaps a special mention, but the gold medal..." She shook her head in wonder. "What happens now?" Mei Lin asked. "There will be attention, opportunities, expectations." Dr. Tanaka nodded soberly. "Yes, and we must be extremely careful. Child prodigies often face tremendous pressures that can extinguish the very spark that made them special. Our priority must remain Lily's joy in music and her healthy development as a whole person." Chen picked up the crystal trophy from where Lily had carefully placed it on a pillow. "I keep thinking about what the director said, about Lily reminding us that music comes from the heart. How do we protect that quality while still nurturing her gift?" "By always letting her lead the way," Dr. Tanaka answered. "By watching for signs of what she truly wants versus what others might want from her. By remembering that even extraordinary children are still children, with the same needs for play, rest, and unconditional love." In the bathroom, they could hear Lily singing to herself, not Beethoven or Bach, but a simple children's song about ducks. The sound grounded them, a reminder that beneath the gold medal and international attention was still a 4-year-old girl who loved pancakes and paper airplanes. The impact of Lily's win became apparent in the days that followed. The video of her performance, released on the competition's official channels, received millions of views within a week. Classical music programs around the world featured segments about the remarkable child pianist. Invitations arrived from prestigious music schools, concert halls, and festivals, all eager to showcase the tiny musician who had captivated the world. Chen and Mei Lin, with Dr. Tanaka's guidance, carefully filtered these opportunities, accepting only those that seemed genuinely beneficial for Lily's musical growth and overall well-being. They established firm boundaries: no more than 1 performance per month, no extended travel during the school year, and plenty of time for normal childhood activities. 6 months after the competition, Lily gave her first major public concert in her hometown, playing to a sold-out hall of 500 people. She performed Fur Elise as her finale, the piece that had started her journey. As the familiar melody filled the space, Chen and Mei Lin watched from the wings, their eyes filled with tears of pride and wonder. "Did you ever imagine this would be our life?" Mei Lin whispered. Chen shook his head. "Never, but watching her up there, it somehow feels right, like she's exactly where she's meant to be." On the stage, Lily's fingers danced across the keys, her face serene with concentration. She was growing, already a half-inch taller than when she'd played in Vienna, but the pure joy in her expression remained unchanged. For her, despite the gold medals and worldwide attention, music remained what it had always been, a language of colors and stories, a way to express what lived inside her heart. As the final notes of Beethoven's beloved composition faded into silence, followed by thunderous applause, Lily looked out at the audience with a small, contented smile. She was just beginning a journey that would continue to unfold in unexpected ways, guided by her extraordinary gift and the loving hands of those determined to protect both the musician and the child.